I knew something was wrong when I saw my mother's Buick parked half a block from my brother's house. Every other car was in the driveway. Mom sat beneath a tree with a casserole dish in her lap, while music and laughter came from inside. Her phone screen showed a message from Sloane. "Stay in the car until I text. The investors are inside." Mom whispered. She said there were too many important people inside tonight. My name is Presley Dawson. I'm 33, and until that moment, I believed Mom spent every weekend helping my brother because she wanted to. Then she told me she had cooked most of the anniversary dinner. 2 dishes were already inside. She was waiting to deliver the last one through the side gate, then return later to collect the children and wash the serving dishes. Inside, printed menus called the food Sloane Mercer's original family recipes. On Easton's tablet, beside Mom's name, were 3 instructions: prepare food, wait off-site, return for cleanup. That was when I understood. My mother had not been invited to the dinner she cooked. She had been asked to provide the food, the history, and the warmth, then disappear before anyone important saw her. I arrived late to Easton and Sloane's anniversary dinner. Luxury cars filled the driveway, but Mom's Buick was parked half a block away beneath a tree. It looked deliberately hidden. Mom sat behind the wheel with a casserole across her knees. Her coat and purse were beside her. She had delivered 2 dishes earlier, then Sloane had sent her away before the guests arrived. Her phone lit up. Not yet. They're discussing Easton's partnership. Mom said she was waiting for permission to leave the casserole beside the side gate. I asked why she could not walk through the front door. Mom looked down. "Sloane says these people notice everything. My clothes, my accent, the stories I tell." I reached for the casserole. Mom caught my arm. "Please, Presley, don't go in angry." I asked how many times she had waited outside like this. She did not answer. Easton came down the sidewalk wearing the suit Mom had helped him buy years earlier. He hugged me, then glanced at the dish. "You found her?" he said, as if our mother had wandered away. He told Mom to leave the casserole in the car. "I'll bring it in when the timing is better." I asked what timing had to do with allowing his mother inside. Easton said my place was waiting at the table. When I asked about Mom, he claimed she was tired and planned to go home. Mom stared at the steering wheel while he lied about her. Inside, printed menus sat beside every plate. At the top were the words, "Original Recipes by Sloane Mercer." 3 dishes belonged to my mother. A guest praised the casserole. Sloane smiled and said she had created it during a difficult year when she had almost no family support. Easton heard her. He said nothing. In the kitchen, Easton's tablet displayed the evening's event instructions. Beside Mom's name were 4 lines: prepare food, deliver after first course, remain off-site, return for children and clean up. Mom had not simply been excluded, her absence had been scheduled. I photographed the screen before Easton appeared behind me and locked the tablet. He accused me of reading private business information. I asked why Mom was listed like unpaid staff. Easton replied, "This dinner could keep us afloat for another year." I asked whether they paid her. "She's our mother," he said. When I asked whether they credited her, he called that unnecessarily transactional. Sloane entered carrying an empty serving bowl. She explained that Mom told long stories, called people sweetheart, and made formal dinners feel too personal. Then she asked where the casserole was. I said it was still in the car. Sloane immediately checked the time. "You're more worried about the dish than the woman holding it," I said. I returned to Mom's car and drove her to a nearby diner. Her phone buzzed before we ordered. "Bring casserole to side gate at 8:05. Do not ring." A second message arrived. "Return at 9:15. Children will be ready. Wash the silver pieces before leaving." Mom admitted this happened whenever Sloane entertained important clients. Sloane had slowly corrected Mom's clothes, accent, and stories. Each request sounded harmless by itself. Together, they had taught Mom that helping Easton meant making herself invisible. I wanted to confront them immediately. Mom stopped me because she feared Easton would keep the grandchildren away. Then she said, "Find out how much of my life she is calling hers." Over the next week, I reviewed photographs from Easton's dinners. Mom appeared in preparation pictures, carrying trays or arranging flowers. But in every formal photo, she vanished, as if the food arrived without her. One picture showed Sloane smiling beside Mom's casserole. Mom had been cropped out. Only her hands remained reflected in a silver serving tray. That reflection became proof of how carefully Sloane erased her. Gemma had noticed Mom leaving family events before important guests arrived. She assumed Mom preferred going home early. Now she realized Sloane had made disappearing feel like Mom's own decision. Mom finally told me Sloane criticized her colorful dresses. She called them loud and said her stories about Easton's childhood made him seem less successful. So Mom changed her clothes and eventually stopped speaking. The worst part was her accent. Sloane had corrected Mom's grammar in front of the grandchildren until they started copying her. Mom laughed while telling me. Then she whispered, "I didn't want them embarrassed by me." I asked Easton directly whether he knew. He sighed and said Sloane's clients could be judgmental. Then he added, "Mom understands what's at stake." He had not been unaware. He had been cooperating. Easton said Mom enjoyed helping with meals and childcare. I asked why she had to hide while doing it. He answered, "Sloane's business depends on a certain image." Apparently, our mother did not fit that image. Then he revealed the money problem. Sloane's income had dropped, private school tuition was overdue, and their credit cards were nearly full. Mom's free cooking and childcare were saving them thousands every month. "You're using her," I told Easton. He said Mom had never complained. When I asked what would happen if she stopped cooking and babysitting, he listed everything that would fall apart, but never said he would miss her. That Saturday, Gemma invited Mom to her community supper club. Mom refused because Easton needed childcare. Gemma took her hand and said, "Your son is 36. He can survive one evening without making you earn your place." Mom finally agreed to attend Gemma's supper club. She arrived carrying 2 dishes and immediately asked where the kitchen was. Gemma smiled, took both trays from her hands and said, "Tonight, you sit first." Someone pulled out a chair for Mom before asking what she had cooked. Another guest served her a plate while the food was still hot. Mom blinked quickly and looked down. She was not used to being served. A restaurant owner tasted Mom's casserole and asked how she made the onions so sweet. Mom explained that the printed recipe listed ingredients, not the method. "The recipe isn't complete without the person who knows it," the woman said. People began asking Mom questions about cooking, family traditions, and her marriage. Nobody corrected her accent. Nobody laughed at her stories. By dessert, she was talking freely and laughing louder than I had heard in years. That night, I searched Sloane's business pages. She marketed herself as completely self-made. She claimed she cooked every meal, managed every event, and raised her children without nearby family support. Every sentence erased Mom. Several photographs showed Mom's food under Sloane's name. One caption read, "Another original recipe from my kitchen." In the corner, a silver tray reflected Mom's hands placing the dish on the table. Gemma found Sloane's hospitality competition application online. She had submitted Mom's church cookbook recipe under her own name. The application also claimed Sloane created it during a year when she had no family support. Mom showed us the original card in my father's handwriting. Notes filled the margins. "Cook the onions slowly. Let the dish rest." At the bottom, Dad had written, "Lorraine's dish. Carrying it does not make it yours." For the first time, Mom did not defend Easton. She asked Gemma whether the supper club still needed someone to lead its charity dinner. Gemma said yes. Mom answered, "Then put my name on the program." The charity dinner program listed, Lorraine Dawson, featured community cook. Mom printed it and placed it on her refrigerator. She did not know Sloane had already seen the date. Sloane scheduled her investor dinner for the same Saturday. The investors were considering licensing her Southern Family Table concept. She assumed Mom would cancel her charity commitment when Easton asked. Sloane called Mom and asked for the casserole. Mom asked, "Will you tell them it is mine?" Sloane said public credit would confuse the investors, but promised to thank her privately. Easton called next. "Please do it for the children," he said. Mom replied, "You should not have built your payment plan around food you cannot make." Sloane followed the printed recipe exactly, but she rushed the onions and served the casserole immediately. It looked like Mom's dish, but it did not taste like it. An investor had seen Mom's name on the charity program. She asked why Sloane claimed the same recipe. The competition judge remembered the older church cookbook version, and Sloane gave two different answers. Across town, Gemma introduced Mom as the recipe's creator. The original card and church cookbook were displayed beside the food. Nobody accused Sloane publicly. The truth was visible without a speech. Mom sat at the head table while volunteers served the guests. Later, the investors paused negotiations until Sloane clarified the recipe ownership and false competition claims. Mom turned her phone over and finished eating. 3 weeks later, Easton and Sloane appeared at Mom's door. They brought a form giving Sloane permanent permission to use the recipe and family story. It offered no payment, public credit, or correction. Mom returned the unsigned form. "I'll discuss a paid license after you correct the competition entry and put my name on my work." Then she told Easton, "I will visit as their grandmother. I will not earn access by cooking or cleaning." At Gemma's next dinner, Mom arrived empty-handed. A place card with her name was already waiting. Nobody asked what she had brought. They simply pulled back her chair and made room.